Greetings, friends. Thank you for returning here or joining me here. If this is your first time, welcome, welcome, welcome to the Sacred News and Weather. My name is Dana, and today I'm coming to you live from my living room rather than my bedroom, just to see if I could get the lighting to be a little bit better. And I think I've succeeded mostly. This is lovingly known as the mosh pit. This is my son's little magical nest. And yeah, I'm going to try being in this space today and we'll see how it feels. We'll see how it goes. I'm actively avoiding putting my taxes together. So I am almost willingly coming on video to avoid my taxes today. So that is what I'm supposed to be doing. And instead, I'm very delighted to be talking with all of you. So what I'm going to do here is just close my eyes and I'm going to come back into the space that I was in my morning meditation. And you can either close your eyes with me or you can watch me close my eyes, whatever feels good. And what I'm doing is rolling the camera back to about 5:30 this morning when I had just finished up my meditation for myself. And I was moving into the energy of this sweet little growing collective. And the first thing that I saw actually feels like what might be a very specific message for a very specific person, but I'm going to go ahead and go with it anyway because it feels important and it feels like it might be useful to more than just this very specific person. But what I heard was, okay, I'm at the front of the train. Now what? And for those of you who didn't catch my last channeled message, what came through there was a train in a desert landscape hugging the side of a mountain. And some of us were being invited to remain at the caboose and be surrendered to the present moment while watching the past get left behind and staying in the present moment and being in the present moment and trusting in the loving arms of the universe to just hold us here in the present tense and just be for a little while, watching the tracks disappear and trusting. Others of us were invited to move from this surrendered place in the caboose all the way through to the front of the train and to take up our post right there at the front of the train, still surrendered to the divine, still in an act of divine trust. But what it felt like from here was a much more active stance. So we're no longer leaning back and trusting, but we're coming forward to see what's here. And the invitation felt like it's time to take the next right action. It's time to leave behind the procrastination, to leave it all behind, and to stay in the present moment and allow yourself to be guided into the next right moment, into the next action step. This very much felt like a place of action. So for the person who's asking me, okay, I'm here at the front of the train, now what? Here's what I have for you. Some of you, not this particular person, some of you will just stay here at the front of the train, the wind whipping through your hair, knowing that the engine is here. This is where the power place is. And you're just going to stay here and wait for the next aligned action to be shown to you. So some of you are truly going to stay here and just take this new perspective, stay surrendered, and wait for the next aligned action to come. But for this particular person or this particular group of people, what feels really forward and really present is that your next aligned action is not going to be a new creation. It's not going to be something new that you are going to invent, something new that you are going to create. It feels like, and the word that came then and is coming now is resurrection. And I know we're in the Easter season, and I know that resurrection and the theme of resurrection is going to be coming very much forward. But we're also in spring where we're going to be creating new things and using the energy of spring to bring the new out into the world. And for this person who asked me, okay, I'm here, now what? The now what is actually going to be gathering the threads, gathering the piles, gathering the tomes, gathering your supplies, and resurrecting something that you've already created, or reinventing slightly, rewiring, reusing, recycling something that you have already created that you just sort of like gave up on. You just sort of let it fizzle out, you let it go, and you thought, I don't have what it takes. This is not the right thing, la la la, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. What you are meant to do, the next aligned action, the next right thing for you is to bring this old thing into creation, to reinvent, to resurrect I see the image of the phoenix. It's a little bit cliched, but it's here. Like, we're gonna rebirth this thing. I've already got, and here's the thing. Here's the thing. You already have all of the pieces. You already know what this puzzle entails. You already have it. And you gave up on it. And you gave up on it not because it wasn't a brilliant idea, not because it wasn't the right thing, but because something from outside of yourself, something from outside of you said, no, not that, or too hard, or too much, or not the right thing. And it's not coming from inside of you. What's coming from inside of you actually is a yes. This is the thing. This is what wants to be birthed. This is what wants to be brought out into the world. This is the thing. And why did I not trust myself? Why did I not trust myself? You are being invited here at the front of this train. And I keep doing this because it feels like almost like a slippery layer of like cellophane or silicone or something, like between the present moment and the future. And what's next is this slippery little thing that keeps like eluding you, like you just kind of slide off of it, like, no, it's not that, no, it's not that, but it's that. And let it be a little sticky. Let it be that, and let yourself go forward and feel not the slip away, but feel the connectivity and the rightness of it. And let the voices, let the no, it's not that, let whoever, whatever told you. And for some of you, it's a very specific person. It's like your partner or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whomever that said, no, that's not a good idea. That's not the right thing. For some of you, it's more cultural. It's coming from like outside, like the grander outside that says, no, there's too many already, yours isn't good enough, yours isn't specific. And I'm telling you, it's time. It's time. You're here at the front of the train, and there's only like the thinnest slippery layer between you and birthing what's next out into the world. And that's what's next. And only you know what that specific thing is. I do not know what that specific thing is. And it's going to be different for each and every one of you who feel connected to this. Now what? Oh, it's that. And there's a little bit of, oh, it's that. But there's also, oh, it's that. So let that ooh feeling go. And if you can let that ooh feeling go, and there's still a little bit of frizzle is the word, like a little bit of like excitement, like a little bit of, oh, it's that. Oh, it's that. Oh, it's that. Let that be the thing that takes you forward into the next step. So we're letting go of this slippery layer between, okay, I'm here, now what, and the next right step. We're letting that slipperiness go. We're going to let you just really lean in and allow yourself to be held here so that you can take that next right step. I'm going to be quiet here for a moment to see if there's something else that wants to be said here. The resurrection of old projects. Yeah, I can feel the hesitation. I can feel the no, I want to plant something new. And if that's really what you want to do, you can do it. But I can tell that you're being invited to not reinvent the wheel. And I think the invitation to not reinvent the wheel and go with what you already have is coming from this urgency. And I feel like that's why we've been called to the front of the train, because there's this urgency to get our very important work, our very important messages, our very important energy out into the world, and it's already been collected, it's already been put together, and it wants to come. It doesn't want to sprout from a new seed. And I know there are many of you in here who are planting new seeds, and I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm just saying that this particular message is for the person who knows who they are, or the people who know who they are, and they know that they don't need to plant new seeds and water brand new things and start from the very beginning, that their body of work, their wisdom, their art, their creativity, their fertility, it's already well into existence, and they've been denying themselves the existence out in the world. And bring it out. The world needs it. The world is ready for it. You just need to allow yourself to move forward. And so that is what's next. Great. I'm going to pause here because there was another message, and it's coming back. I wasn't sure if this was going to come forward again because it was a little disjointed when it came through this morning, but here it is. And I heard, and I also saw images, like to these images of a past time and a past space. And I heard someday babies are going to be born with iPods in their belly. And so I went to that time in my life where I probably said that. In fact, I know I said that to somebody, and I don't know, it's right around the time I was racing bicycles. So I saw myself in that collective of beautiful women saying something along those lines. Someday babies are going to be born with iPods in their belly. And I just sat with that imagery, and I sat with those words, and I tried to figure out, okay, what's here for us? Is this a personal message? Is this a message for the collective? And it felt like a message for the collective. And then the next thing I heard was one of my dear friends explaining to another dear friend that the reason that I have developed telepathy with men, she said, yeah, no man has ever told Dana the truth. So instead of letting them go, she created this very elaborate workaround of telepathy. She can now read men's minds. And to be fair, that is largely true, and not all men, and also not all men have lied to me. And also, I can read women's minds, but not all women. And so I'm just like taking the specificity out of it. It was a little bit of a joke, but it was here. Someday, babies are going to be born with iPods in their bellies, and Dana had to create this elaborate workaround because no one would tell her the truth. Where do these two things come together? So I was sitting with this. Where do these two things come together? And by the way, I'm just being told to point out that this is the way that intuition and magic can work. We like to imagine that angels are going to descend from upon high and bright lights and say, "Oh, Dana, you're going to do this thing." And sometimes that happens. I have visitations, very specific visitations from very specific angels sometimes. Um, but this is actually how intuition can work. It can come, you can hear a phrase, you can see something, you can taste something. And I'm pointing that out because many of you are here to learn how to get closer to your own intuition. So someday babies are going to be born with iPods in their belly, and Dana had to create an elaborate workaround and develop telepathy because no man would ever tell her the truth. How are they coming together? Well, here's what happened. Time and space moved apart. So there was this separation that happened from Dana in like 2007, and Dana and her two friends, like, I don't know, last year, 2 years ago, having that conversation. Time and space opened up and opened up and opened up and opened up. And what I saw was a monk in a monastery creating an illuminated manuscript. What I saw was the handwriting of words, and I saw like images of the church, and the church decreeing these are the rules, these are the way things are, and the monk writing in the manuscript. And then the next thing I saw was an image of I was about to say peasants, but I know that they weren't lower class. They were probably somewhere in a wealthier class where suddenly there were books in the home and books were available. And I made the leap between illuminated manuscript and books being in the home. That somehow felt important. It felt important that we went from having to handwrite books or handwrite manuscript to now having printed books available and multiple people. I could see people walking down the street with books in their arms and libraries. And this was the next image that I saw. And then I followed the timeline up to the next place. And the next place that I was taken was this factory. It was basically like a car parts factory, and machines were coming down and stamping things and putting doors on things, and it was very loud, and I could see the factory working, and I was like, okay, what is happening here? And I could hear, I had a conversation with a friend the other day, and we were talking about how Henry Ford said something along the lines of, we need to keep the population dumb so that they'll work on these lines, on the factory lines. And so this was the next place that I was shown, and I was watching this factory line. I was watching these cars being built and the conveyor belts going by. And then the next place on the timeline I came to was like when I first started using email. I could see my first San Francisco apartment and choosing an email address, and then suddenly I was like being bombarded with all of the toxic crap that we are being bombarded with now through social media, through news outlets, all of the lies. I was just being shown how you say one thing and the next thing you know, there's an advertisement appearing in your news feed. How if you watch one news channel, your belief system becomes this tunnel, and if you watch another one, your belief system comes this down this tunnel. And just how we are led and spoon fed and led and spoon fed, and nobody knows what the truth is. And we all have our own version of what we think the truth is, no matter what party you belong to or don't belong to, no matter what you feel about what's happening out in the world. None of us has any idea what the actual truth is. We have no idea. And so I was sitting with this bombardment of information, of lies upon lies upon lies. And I heard my friend saying Dana had to develop this elaborate workaround. And I heard babies are going to grow iPads or iPods in their belly, or be born with iPods in their belly. And I saw not an iPad coming into my belly, but I saw and felt in my belly that place. And it's kind of here in my solar plexus, but it's also lower down in what I would call my lower dantian. The lower dantian is the chi center. It's your loving life force center. It is the gut. It is where you have a gut feeling and you know it's true. And I could see where our truth was meant to be discerned here in our bellies. And what we're doing is we're taking all of this information into our brains from the neck up. All of this information is coming into our brains, and we are trying to discern from the neck up whether or not something is true. And all we're doing is being spoon fed what channel we prescribe to, what party we subscribe to, what we are being fed what we want and determining it as truth. And what we are being invited to do is bring all of that information down into our bellies, all the way into our bellies, to learn, to feel, to learn to feel what is true. And so I got quiet here and I thought about, well, where and how does my telepathy enter the picture? I understood that iPads in our iPods in our bellies were not what I was being guided toward, but I was being guided toward the future in our bellies, the future, knowing the truth in our bellies. And so I stayed with the future. Why the future in our bellies? Knowing the truth in our bellies feels correct. It felt like the right thing, but I knew there was something more here in future in my belly. And so I stayed with it. And I'm kind of feeling into it now also. But what happened is the timeline unfurled in this direction. And while I don't know, I'm almost afraid to know what is going to happen to our planet, what is going to happen to our country, what is going to happen to the world. I'm a little bit afraid to know. What came through was that we are being invited into a new way of knowing the truth, a new way of finding the truth. Babies are not going to be born with iPods in their belly, but they are going to be born with the very same gifts that I have, the very same gifts that you have, the very same gifts that we all have that are just starting to wake up, that are just starting to come online. Babies are born with them naturally. They are just really like learned out of them, disciplined out of them. We're learned to listen to our elders and stop listening to ourselves. And in the future, our babies are going to be born not with iPods in their bellies, but with the innate sense, the innate ability to understand energy, to know that what we are meant to experience in this world is well beyond our five senses. It is the voices that come in over your left ear. It's that feeling in your chest. It's the tingling in your scalp. Our babies in the future are going to be born with those innate abilities, but they are going to be fostered. They are going to be grown. They are going to be just a part of what's normal. They are a part of the future. And we will never know, our children will never know. It's possible that our children's children won't ever know the way the world is evolving, the way that we are going to go. But we are in this evolutionary time period. The reason it is so difficult, the reason we don't know what the truth is, the reason why there is so much chaos is because we are meant to be learning to discern the truth in a new way. We can no longer trust what's outside of ourselves. We are no longer able to know what is coming from us, coming from out there as truth. We can only know, we are being invited to know and understand and fully embody the truth in here. I think this is what I have for us today. Thank you for joining me. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below, or for those of you who know me and know how to reach me in other ways, by all means, text me, smoke signal me, email me, though you know email, I'm almost useless. I'll get there eventually. Let me know what you think, what you feel, any questions you might have. Invite your friends here, like, share, subscribe. I'm going to try and grow this space. I'm going to try and grow this place. I will have a guided meditation coming your way here soon. First, I'm going to finish my taxes. Bye bye.